Okay, let's unpack this. Today, we're diving into the compelling world of Kung Fu Sansu. It's a combat art, sure, but it's really so much more than just physical fighting. It's this profound system designed to deeply engage the mind, build character, and maybe surprisingly, leverage actual scientific principles.
That's absolutely right. Our main guide here is Master Paul H. Borisoff's work, The Mastering of a Combat Art. And it really offers some remarkable insights. Deep stuff.
Definitely. And our mission for you, the listener, is basically to pull out the most important nuggets of knowledge, the surprising facts about Sansu's history, its philosophy, and how it actually works in practice. So by the end, you'll have a really solid, well-rounded understanding of this, well, pretty intriguing art without needing to wade through everything yourself. Okay, so origins. Kung Fu Sansu, as presented in the source, it's an ancient Chinese fighting system. And this is crucial right from the start. It's not a sport.
Not at all.
This art is built around, well, effective, efficient fighting. It uses this seamless combo of punches, kicks, strikes, blocks, throws, leverages.
The whole toolkit.
Exactly. All done with perfect rhythm, aimed at vital points. And what's really unique, I think, is that the techniques can change instantly. There's no set pattern you have to follow.
And what's really compelling is how it integrates these deep scientific principles, physics, movement dynamics, leverage,
right,
all combined with intense concentration and controlled breathing. This mix gives a practitioner, well, extreme power, agility, balance, coordination, and maybe unexpectedly, humility. There's a real emphasis on respect for others.
And the roots go way back. We're talking maybe 3,500, even 4,000 years ago. Chinese monks in monasteries.
Wow.
Yeah. And their motivation was twofold. Survival, obviously, but also physical fitness, a very holistic approach, mind and body together. What's kind of amazing is how thousands of years ago, they broke combat down into these 5 basic areas: punching, kicking, leverage, throwing, and physical dynamics.
Making it arguably the first organized system of hand-to-hand combat.
Seems like it.
And tracing its journey is fascinating. Over centuries, it travels, goes to other countries, other places. It inevitably mingles with the local fighting forms, gets filtered through different cultural layers, and you get some, let's call it distortion.
Right. Things change.
Exactly. And this distortion, this evolution, led to many of the systems we know today. Things like Okinawa-te, Shotokan, Kenpo, Taekwondo. They have roots tracing back.
Okay, so let's narrow that focus a bit. The specific lineage that Grandmaster Jimmy H. Wu taught, that traces back maybe 2,500 years, to the Guanyin Temple, Panheng Village, Guangdong Province in China.
Right.
And there, warrior monks were refining it specifically to handle bandits and outlaws. Very practical application.
And lineage is just so critical in these arts, isn't it? This specific art eventually passed to Chan Shu Hung, known as Crazy Devil.
What a name.
I know. And it was under him, starting when he was just 4 years old, that Jimmy H. Wu, born Shan Su-dek, began his training. Jimmy was apparently specifically chosen, selected in his youth, to inherit these elements of hand-to-hand combat and the huge responsibility of carrying it forward.
So fast forward to 1933, Jimmy H. Wu, only 19, leaves China. He uses that name, Jimmy H. Wu, on his passport, goes to Hawaii first, then lands in Los Angeles in 1935, bringing this family art with him.
And talk about timing. His departure was incredibly fortunate. Shortly after the Japanese invasion happened and many Chinese martial artists were killed, it really underscores how fragile these traditions could be.
Yeah, definitely. So in LA, Jimmy Wu works various jobs, produced business, restaurants. He even owned 3 at one point. But his real passion, his first love, was always teaching Sansu.
Yeah.
Started quietly, with relatives, close friends. He even did some unarmed bodyguard work.
Then comes a huge milestone. December 1962. The grand opening of his studio in El Monte, California. And interestingly, he called the art Karate Kung Fu. Why? Because back then, nobody in America really knew what Kung Fu was.
Wow, really?
Yeah. And you have to remember, traditionally, Kung Fu Sansu was kept very secret, preserved strictly for the Chinese. So Jimmy's decision to teach Americans, that was a massive shift. Revolutionary, really. And he kept teaching right up until he passed away in 1991. That's 46 years of teaching in America.
Amazing dedication. Okay, let's dig into the name itself. Kung Fu Sansu. Based on Yuhua Chao's research, which is pretty cool. So, Kum, it means skill, merit, achievement. It's made up of 2 parts, work and force.
Makes sense. Effort plus power equals skill.
Exactly. There's that Confucius quote, "The mechanic who wishes to do his work well must first sharpen his tools." It really captures that idea of diligent preparation and effort.
And then fu, literally manana, but here it implies like a capable person, a skilled individual, someone who's really mastered their craft.
So put them together. Kung Fu literally means craftsman or skilled worker. And it came to represent Chinese martial arts because it embodies that whole idea of refining skill through hard, persistent training. Like the source says, the practice of Kung Fu does not end, for technique is learned through self-discovery.
It's a continuous journey.
Totally. Then you have San, means disperse, break up. It's just moving about freely, adapting. It connects to modern terms like freestyle fight or free hand, suggests fluidity.
And finally, Su, which just means hand, though it's the Americanized pronunciation. So putting it all together, Jimmy H. Wu himself defined Sansu as, let me get this right, the complete use and versatility that a man's hands are capable of in the realm of hand-to-hand combat.
That's quite a definition.
It is. And Kung Fu Sansu then means a man learned, articulate, and active in the use of his hands in combat with another man. Learned, articulate, and active.
That really covers it. And just to round out the picture, Sansu is structured as a 5-family art. You've got Soi for hands and arms, Li for legs and stances, Hoi for leverages and open hand stuff, Thut for philosophy and psychology.
The mental game.
Yeah. And Hung for power and strength. It's incredibly comprehensive, covers all the bases.
Okay, this kind of brings us to the philosophy behind the training itself. And this is where it gets really interesting, I think. The source actually connects Sansu to classical arts like music or painting. It emphasizes that old saying, patient, perfect practice makes perfect. Not just any practice, but focused, mindful practice.
Right. And when we talk about the derivation of power in Sansu, it's made very clear that brute strength is only one part of the equation, just one piece.
What else is there?
Well, it shares importance with speed, endurance, stealth, determination, cunning, bravery. All these other qualities. Jimmy Wu had that great quote, "It is good to be strong, but better to know how to use it."
Oh, that's good. Ultimately, Sansu aims to build deep self-discipline, self-confidence. It recognizes the human mind as really the greatest power.
That focus on the mind leads right into these critical ideas of perception and speed. There's this core belief. The body cannot conceive what the mind cannot perceive. So that mental image of what you intend to do, visualize before you actually move, that's vital, essential for getting consistent, really good results. And speed. It's not about going flat out. It's about finding the suitable pace. Go too slow, things get heavy, angular. Go too fast, you lose form. Placement suffers.
Yeah, you overshoot or misplace the technique.
Right, the goal is smooth, flowing, graceful, and balanced movement.
There's a really insightful way the source describes it, Kung Fu Sansu, as a fighting language.
Ooh, I like that.
Yeah. The idea is your subconscious mind organizes its fighting vocabulary. The basic moves into fighting phrases, spontaneous combinations. This allows for dynamic, spontaneous movement, not just repeating memorized patterns. You become truly articulate in combat, able to build solutions on the fly.
That makes sense.
And it captures that confidence Jimmy H. Wu talked about. He said, I can do anything I want to that man. That is the confidence of me. It comes from that fluency.
Exactly. And that highlights this key difference. Flexible versus patterned thinking. Sansu technique is designed to be instantly changeable, unique to the situation unfolding right now. It's not like rigid, memorized sequences that might just fall apart in a real, unpredictable fight.
Which brings up a common question, why spend so much time on the basics? Hours and hours. Well, mastering basic technique. It's like a musician mastering scales or a dancer fundamental poses. It gives you the essential tools, the technical foundation.
Right, the building blocks.
Exactly, a strong base for creativity, for proficiency. It stops you from just doing, as the source calls it, endless, mindless repetition. And you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time.
And woven into all this is humility and respect. It's fundamental to the training environment. I mean, students literally hold each other's well-being, their safety in their hands during practice. That builds this unique, really profound bond of trust.
Absolutely. Jimmy H. Wu was apparently always telling students to slow down, reminding them, you hurt your workout partner, then you won't have anybody to work out with.
Practical advice.
Very practical. It's this symbiotic relationship that really promotes controlled, safe development.
And that ties directly into why accuracy and control are so important and why workouts are often done slowly, deliberately. Master Ron Gatewood had that great analogy about the Old West. It wasn't always the fastest gun that won the gunfight, but the one that was most accurate.
Good one.
Slow, deliberate practice. It imprints techniques deep into the subconscious. The goal is automatic reaction, a learned response that happens without conscious thought, which is way better than just mechanical rote repetition.
And control is just non-negotiable, especially with Sansu's leverages and breaks. They're potentially very dangerous if not controlled. You have to prevent serious injury. The workout trains the mind to fight. And like the source says, remember to let your mind use your body when in combat, not the other way around.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit and talk about the mechanics of the training, how it's actually structured. There seem to be 4 main ways they train. First, you have lessons. These are like technical examples showing combative strategies. The building blocks, again.
Yeah, the core concept.
Second, there's form. This is the shadow boxing part. Solo practice to improve balance, coordination, targeting.
Important for refining movement quality.
Third, drills. Lots of repetition here, designed to reinforce what they call kung fu ideas, burning those movements into muscle memory.
Yep, repetition builds pathways.
And fourth, the free workout. This is where you develop problem-solving, reaction skills. It's usually done with a designated aggressor.
And that free workout usually breaks down into 2 types, right? There's the technique workout where you're taking those lessons, basing them out, adapting them to simulated attacks, really refining the application.
Okay.
And then there's the extemporaneous workout. This is more spontaneous, reacting to different unpredictable attacks, really testing your adaptability on the fly.
Now, a really crucial concept here is simulating movement. In workouts, punches, kicks, they're pulled. Minimal contact. The partner simulates the movement, reacts as if they were actually hit hard.
Why do they do that? Seems counterintuitive, maybe.
Well, it's primarily to avoid injury, obviously, but also to maintain the flow of the technique, to prevent constant stopping and starting. And the source has this great line, "The punch you don't see is the one that knocks you out." This simulation also highlights how vital misdirection and surprise are in actual Sansu strikes.
Makes sense. So what if you do get hit, despite your best efforts?
The goal then is to minimize damage. Stay relaxed, elastic, move with the blow. The source uses the image of being like a balloon on a tether.
Absorbing the impact.
Exactly. And Jimmy H. Wu used to say, the best way to avoid being hit is to not be there, meaning your movement should always prioritize evasion, getting off the line of attack, finding a better position.
Controlled breathing is another piece of this puzzle, isn't it?
Huge piece. It's not just about calming down, it enhances striking power, kicking power, and it lets you move or roll effectively with an attack if you get hit. Each is a specific vocalization timed with certain movements, designed to maximize power or enhance stability, maybe even mask your real intention, plus the common hi-ai or hey. And interestingly, unlike some kung fu systems that focus on deep belly breathing, Sansu is described as an upright chest or diaphragm breathing art.
Different approach. And there's a belt system too, right, to mark progress?
Which is standard progression. White, yellow, green, brown, and black. But what's often noted is that as students climb these ranks, they have this realization, the more we learn, the more we realize how little we know.
Humbling. Speaks to the depth of the art.
Totally. It's a common experience in mastering anything complex, I think. Now, circling back to working out, workouts are always supposed to be done at the level of the lower-ranked student, for safety, for proper progression.
Right. You don't overwhelm the beginner.
And beginners are strongly discouraged from trying to invent new stuff or base out lessons too early. The idea is freedom without structure is chaos. The free workout is seen as a privileged activity. It requires responsibility because the techniques themselves are inherently dangerous if misused.
And that connects to something the source calls tough guy talk. It flags this as a sign of low self-confidence.
Interesting. How so?
Well, it identifies 2 problem types. Know-it-alls, arrogant, lack humility, and speedsters. Guys who use speed to try and cover up sloppy technique. The source argues that rushing, aggression, usually stems from poor technique. The answers you need in combat should be found within the Sansu system, through proper practice, not just by trying to overpower someone.
That leads nicely into another concept, working in your own element. Basically, play your own game.
Don't get sucked into the opponent's style.
Exactly. React strategically to their body movement, their position, not necessarily their specific martial arts style. The example given is, like if you're in a ground situation, apply your standing Sansu Putka attacks appropriately, rather than frantically trying to learn Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu on the spot. Adapt your strengths.
Which again, highlights the element of surprise. This is absolutely central to Sansu because it's a combat art, not a sport. Jimmy H. Wu's famous line, "What I can do for you, you can do for me." In real combat, fairness isn't really a factor.
Yeah, the source puts it bluntly. If a situation isn't serious enough for stealth and a sucker punch, maybe there isn't actually a good enough reason to fight.
Stark, but makes a point about the reality of combat versus regulated sport. Sport has rules to protect people, ensure a fair contest. Sansu is about stopping the threat quickly, decisively, staying mobile, and never leaving the opponent in working condition.
It's a different mindset entirely.
And thinking deeper, this all underscores the crucial role of using the conscious and subconscious mind. Jimmy H. Wu emphasized being articulate, able to form a systematic whole, associate ideas, create solutions. He famously said, "Animals cannot do kung fu, only the human mind." A smart fighter's technique isn't just muscle memory, it's guided by knowledge, tempered by experience. The mind is the real weapon.
Okay, so as we move towards the idea of mastery, let's touch on instruction methods. How the art is taught. Apparently, early methods sometimes involve just memorizing lessons, which could lead to technical skill, sure, but maybe a lack of creativity in applying it.
Robotic almost.
Could be. Then later, other methods might have been too haphazard, leading to inconsistent technique. Master Borisoff's evolved method, described in the source, focuses on nailing a core group of lessons first, holding back on too much free workout initially.
Why? To build a solid base.
Exactly. Encourage conformity to correct technique, get a deeper understanding before students start basing out lessons and improvising too much. Build a foundation first.
Which brings us to that term, basing out lessons. What does that really mean? It's not just random free workout, right?
No. The idea is using the lessons you've learned for upkeep, for renovation, for constantly adding to your personal idea database. It's crucial, the source says, to actively bring new lesson ideas into your free workout. Otherwise, your personal practice can stagnate. You stop growing.
Continuous evolution.
Right. Now, here's a fascinating bit of Sansu history. The old versus new debate. It seems Jimmy H. Wu himself changed his teaching style over time.
Oh.
He apparently shifted from longer, wider techniques, think big, diametrically opposed punches, large windmills, towards more compact, closer-range movements, mirrored punches in the same stance, shortened windmills.
More economical.
Seems like it. The source uses this great analogy. Imagine sitting squarely at a square table. You're good for what's right in front, but reaching the corners is awkward. You have to turn your whole body. But if you sit at the corner of the table, facing the center, you have easy access everywhere, better reach, use of both arms more easily. That's kind of the advantage of the new style positioning.
Interesting analogy.
Yeah.
But what did Jimmy Wu himself say about this change?
Well, according to the source, for him, it wasn't really old versus new. He saw the changes as just different combinations of the same movements.
The real distinction, he felt, wasn't old versus new, but correct versus incorrect technique. This newer, more compact approach allowed for better positional advantage, moving off angle, narrowing your profile, increasing your reach advantage relative to the opponent.
Which facilitates faster, unseen strikes. Enhances that element of surprise again.
It all connects back.
It does. Now, a touchy subject in martial arts circles, cross-training. The source takes a pretty strong stance here.
What's the advice?
For students in their early formative years especially, the author strongly advises against it. To maintain the integrity of the Sansu system they're learning, the argument is Sansu is already a huge, vast system. Trying to seriously study another complex art at the same time often just slows down or even prevents achieving real mastery in Sansu itself. Focus is key.
That makes sense, especially early on. Build one strong foundation before trying to build another. And speaking of foundations, footwork and stances. Critically important, right?
Absolutely essential. For a strong base, for balance, for fluid technique. The source introduces the basic 8 stances as the core foundation. These stances aren't just static poses. They support power generation and allow for balance control through intentional, controlled tipping. You're never meant to be flat-footed or stuck.
And how you move between those stances is key too. Commitment of body weight, or how to step.
Right, and this is not like regular walking at all. It's described as a controlled, circular, very deliberate movement. The source uses this analogy of parking a car to describe the initial heel placement. You don't just slam it in, you guide it. The circular step helps maintain balance, agility, maneuverability, keeps your body mass moving across the opponent's line, not just crashing straight into them, which can mess up your own balance.
And building on that step is shifting horses. That sounds important.
Critically important. It's described as a key circular component for both defense and setting up attacks. It emphasizes proper weight transfer, fluidity.
The source mentions there's always a full horse stance between half horse stances, ensuring continuous smooth movement. And the axial shift is apparently the most common pattern. One foot stays in contact with the ground, allowing constant balance while subtly changing your angle and position.
It sounds like a very strategic dance. These movements underpin concepts like the fighting diamond, your ideal positional zone, and using fluid stepping patterns. It's all about gaining tactical advantage, setting up your opponent. Things like the pendular rotation, the axial shift we just mentioned, the progressive pivot or hop around, always to keep you in a dominant position off their line.
And the way punches are delivered reflects this whole philosophy too, right? Roundhouse versus straight punches.
Yeah, and it goes back to Sansu's roots in sword use, interestingly. You can think of a roundhouse punch like a slashing sword cut, broad, powerful, and a straight punch like a stabbing thrust, precise, penetrating. A roundhouse, for instance, is broken down into 4 phases. It's compared to swinging a baseball bat. Power comes from the whole body's coordinated rotation, not just the arm.
Generating maximum force.
Exactly. And here's a subtle but really cool detail. Arm movements in Sansu aren't just one thing. A single movement could be a punch, and a block, and a cover, and a parry, and a counterbalance, all at the same time.
Well, multitasking.
Pretty much. It massively enhances that element of surprise because your intention isn't obvious, just looks like movement. Also, the importance of follow-through is stressed. If you just focus on the point of impact, you stop your energy, destroy the continuity and flow of the movement. Less power, less effective.
It really seems like circular movements dominate Sansu's geometry.
Hugely. These circular paths are vital. They help clear incoming punches, navigate around obstructions like the opponent's arms, and access targets in unexpected ways.
This circularity enhances timing, coordination, power. Much more so than purely linear sort of karate-style movements, which the source suggests can disrupt Sansu's natural flow.
There's also this idea of complete versus shortcut movements. What's that about?
Well, complete movements, doing every single part of a technique, provides security, especially for beginners. Make sure you learn it right. But advanced practitioners learn efficient shortcuts, compound movements, blending steps together for more speed and surprise. But these shortcuts demand much greater attention to overall balance and control. More risk if done poorly.
Trade-offs. And all of this depends on good position.
They're absolutely fundamental. Good punching, good leverage.
Yeah.
It all comes down to position. Leverages generally need closeness to generate torque effectively. High-impact punches, on the other hand, usually need a bit more room, a longer path, to generate maximum power. So proper positioning is about seeing the goal, the target, the leverage point, and aligning your body perfectly to execute it.
And sometimes that means off-angle fighting.
Yeah, a key strategy, especially against bigger, stronger opponents. Instead of meeting force head-on, you yield intelligently, move off their line of force, and then return with a vengeance from an unexpected angle where they're weaker or unbalanced.
Smart fighting.
Which brings up prearranged pattern blocking and punching sets, like katas in other arts. Are those used much?
Generally avoided for actual street combat, according to the source, because in a real fight, anything goes. Patterns can be predictable. Instead, Sansu favors more of a zone defense strategy, using fluid windmills, constant positional changes to protect vital targets while simultaneously hiding your own intentions. Again, that idea. A good offense is the best defense.
Proactive defense.
So wrapping this all up, what does this deep dive really tell us? What's the takeaway? We've seen Kung Fu Sansu is way more than just fighting techniques. It's this comprehensive, incredibly disciplined, and remarkably adaptable combat art. It really emphasizes that mind-body connection, the absolute necessity of mastering the fundamentals, and the need for continuous, dedicated learning. It's this potent mix of ancient tradition and very practical, real-world application.
It really is. And this whole journey of mastery in Sansu, with its focus on patient practice, on figuring out correct versus incorrect movement rather than just old versus new, that constant search for real understanding over just superficial moves, it offers a really compelling parallel, I think, to mastering any complex skill or even navigating life itself. It kind of leaves you with an important question to think about, doesn't it?
What's that?
Well, for you, the listener, how do you balance sticking to proven principles, the fundamentals, in your own pursuits, whatever they may be, with that essential need for personal growth, adaptation, and finding your own correct way forward? How do you manage that tension between structure and freedom?
That is a powerful thought to leave things on, a lot to mull over there. We really hope you've enjoyed this exploration into the profound world of Kung Fu Sansu. We definitely encourage you to reflect on these ideas, maybe dig deeper into this art, or perhaps other disciplines that focus on that kind of holistic development. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive.